Hey guys, so if the video you're about to watch, if it sounds like it was recorded on a potato, don't worry. It's just it was hot and I had the fan blowing, and so I just kept recording it, and it eventually gets better in the video, like maybe 4 minutes in, I think. I don't know. But eventually it gets a little better, and yeah, so I thought about re-recording the audio, but then I felt very burnt out because I've been working on this video for like 2 weeks, so I just kind of want to be done with it already. So yeah, enjoy the video. Bye!
Shirotabi, please forgive me for bringing you back to life. I know now that it could never work between us. As much as we wanted to, it could never be. Not because you're a rabbit, but because you're black.
Look what I...
Hey guys, welcome back to Angel Video Time. Back again with another video. So yeah, this time I'm talking about Supernatural and the destruction of that show. A show that I loved for years and ended in 2020. Follow me on Instagram and click the link in the description below. Okay. Alright, so Supernatural was a series that aired on the CW and ran from 2005 to 2020. It had 15 seasons. The show was originally about two brothers, Sam and Dean, who have to find their father, who went missing while hunting the demon that killed their mother.
Dad's on a hunting trip, and he hasn't been home in a few days.
Dean is the older brother, and he remembers his mom dying. He believes everything that his father says, which in the early seasons is a main point of conflict between him and his brother Sam. Sam is the younger brother and was only 6 months old when Mary, their mother, died. He doesn't want to be a hunter and won't hesitate to tell you any chance that he gets. The show was only meant to go for 5 seasons. Each of those beginning 5 seasons were connected in story development, plot building, and character work. The foundation of the show at this point was the brothers' relationship. There were side characters, of course, like Ellen, Joe, Bobby, and Cass, but no relationship was more important than the one the brothers shared. It should be said that by season 5, Cass had already started becoming the third most important character in the show. In the beginning, Sam was the main character. He was the chosen one, and nobody really understood what he was chosen for until they found out that he was the perfect vessel for Lucifer himself. But he got all of the interesting storylines until around season 3, when they started splitting the good stories between the brothers. Sam was addicted to demon's blood, and Dean was going to die in a year. The show eventually shifted once more to focus more on Dean than Sam, and Sam almost never got any main storylines. Dean went to purgatory, and then Dean got the mark of Cain, and Dean had his relationship with Amara. Dean became friends with Crowley, and Dean became friends with Benny. Sam had Lucifer in his head, Sam was possessed by Gadriel, and Sam had his relationship with Ruby and his relationship with Rowena. But these were all put on the back burner in favor of Dean's plot lines. Cass also started to get plot lines, but that started mainly after season 5. And before we can really talk about how bad of a show Supernatural became, we have to talk about the original ending. So, after Sam gets possessed by Lucifer, he tries to start up the apocalypse. Dean is trying to save his brother from his own choices once again, and he says goodbye to Lisa, his girlfriend, preparing to die in order to save his brother. Dean drives into the apocalypse. He comes to break through to Sam, who is possessed by Lucifer, and Lucifer Sam beats Dean up until the real Sam breaks through, protecting Dean and launching both him and Michael, who is possessing Adam, their half-brother, into Lucifer's cage. Cass heals Dean's face, and Dean goes to Lisa, and they start their family with that child who mysteriously both looks and acts like Dean. And that's the happily ever after. Until they pan the camera and Sam is watching from the distance like a weirdo, alerting the audience that he's back and that Supernatural won't be ending. That leads us into season 6 and 7. So So, keeping a story going after what was supposed to be the end can be difficult, which is why it usually shouldn't be done. Season 6 is one of my least favorite seasons, which is a shame because it followed one of my favorite seasons, and we find out that Sam is actually soulless after coming back out of the cage, and that their grandfather Samuel, who came back from the dead around the same time that Sam came back from the dead, is evil and working for Crowley, who used to be a lowly Crossroads demon, but had a bit of a promotion.
Just any demon. I'm the king of hell!
The Winchesters have to work with Crowley in order to capture alpha monsters for a reason unknown to them in order to get Sam's soul. It's like a trade to get Sam's soul back from Crowley. And every few episodes, Cass comes around to remind everyone that there's some horrible war going on in heaven that we never see.
I'm mid-battle, Sam.
I could give a rat's ass about your little pissing match with Raphael.
Listen to me, Sam.
No, you listen. I don't care what you're dealing with up in heaven. You owe me.
You may not care, but believe me...
I'm sorry, do you think we're here to talk this out?
Sam, I can't just...
If you don't help us, I will hunt you down and kill you.
Will you? Boy.
Dean gets Death himself to put Sam's soul back into his body, with the caveat being that Sam can never find out that he was ever in Lucifer's cage, as that would drive him insane. Then, Mother Monster, Eve, shows up. After a brief plotline, she's killed by Dean, and then Samuel dies in some random mission that also kills Rufus, and 5 other people. Then it turns out that Castiel has been in league with Crowley the whole time, and he was the one who brought Sam back for some reason, and he's mad at everyone for not helping him in this war that's going on in heaven that we still have yet to see, even though he never asked them for help. Anyways, Cass betrays Crowley, sucks in all of the Leviathans from Purgatory, and kills all of the angels that sided with Raphael, who was the angel that Cass was fighting. Was the archangel that Cass was fighting. Then he breaks the wall in Sam's brain that made him forget about Lucifer's cage and drives him crazy. He then comes back to the Winchesters begging for their help because the Leviathans are killing him from the inside. Cass dies, and that's the season finale. You might think that this was an action-packed season filled with twists and turns, but that would be completely wrong. This season was long and boring. It all served to be a setup to the universally panned Season 7. Of course, because this is supernatural, Cass comes back to life only to die again at the end of Season 8. Cass is then brought back again, takes a break from dying, only to die again in Season 12. Then Cass is brought back one last time, only to die 2 episodes before the series finale in Season 15. That brings us to the problem with Cass. Cass was brought onto the show in Season 4. He was the angel who gripped Dean tight and raised him from perdition.
I'm the one who gripped you tight and raised you from perdition.
Cass is an angel who supposedly is trying his best to do the right thing. This often leads him to do ridiculously stupid things like helping Metatron or letting Lucifer possess him, which will inevitably either lead to his death or lead him on his way to do more stupid things. What I personally found the most insulting about Cass's final death in Season 15 was that nobody talks about him after his death. Dean cares more about Jack not joining them again than Cass being dead. Cass has died before, so we have seen how the group reacts when he dies, but this makes everyone's nonchalance about Cass never coming back even worse because it's not in character. Now we move on to our next problem, Mary Winchester.
Surprise, bitch. I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me.
Mary Winchester dies in the first episode. She is the reason everything started. If you listen to Dean describe her, Mary was an angel on earth, but he didn't know a lot about her. For example, she comes from a whole family of hunters, the Campbells, and she is the one who made the deal with Azazel that ended up killing her so that he could make Sam Lucifer's vessel. Everything was well and good until the end of Season 11. Amara wants to thank Dean for reuniting her with Chuck, so she gives him what he needs most in the world, his mom. Mary's return to Supernatural felt like nothing more than a pointless excuse to add suspense and anticipation for the next season. My feelings were only confirmed when she nearly immediately leaves Sam and Dean to go be by herself and then joins the Men of Letters, people who have tried to kill and torture her sons. Mary never wanted anything to do with her sons, as she's abandoned them multiple times for the 3 seasons that she was on the show. She had 2 somewhat romances with Arthur Ketch, a man who tried to kill her sons repeatedly, and the otherworld Bobby, the doppelganger of her dead husband's dead best friend. Mary truly didn't add anything to the show, so when she got killed by Jack, I really didn't care. As far as I was concerned, she continued to add the same amount of good plot points dead as she did alive.
There's nothing wrong with my views or beliefs because I have freedom of speech and everything I'm saying is true.
Now we move on to the final season. Season 15 was marketed as the end of Supernatural, both in show and in real life. Our heroes were faced with the truth that Chuck was evil, so Chuck decides he's going to destroy everything. The looming threat was that Chuck said that the world would end with one of the Winchesters of his brothers killing the other. Cass ends up leaving Team Free Will because Dean blames Cass for Jack killing Mary because Cass saw Jack disintegrate a snake, so that means that Cass should have known that Jack was prepared for mass murder or something. It was really dumb. But Sam keeps having visions of either Dean killing him or Sam killing Dean because he got shot. He shot Chuck with a bullet that connected them, so he started having visions of what Chuck was doing, and that's what Chuck was writing. All of this would be good and dandy if they actually focused on that. Instead, the season is filled with filler episodes, like the one with the Mary Poppins character. I think her name's Miss Honey or something. That somewhat mention what's happening with the world ending. It all leads up to the fight with Chuck that takes place in the second to last episode of the series. The world is completely empty, except for Sam, Dean, Jack, and Chuck. Chuck is trying to drive the brothers crazy or something, and Jack can absorb life force or something, so he absorbs Chuck's energy, making him powerless and human, a la Avatar: The Last Airbender. The reason why it works in Avatar and not Supernatural is because Aang is not wanting to kill the Fire Lord makes sense with his character. Aang is a pacifist and doesn't believe in murder, and he never has. On the other hand, Sam and Dean not wanting to kill Chuck doesn't make sense, since not only do Sam and Dean believe in murder, but they are mass murderers. They've killed hundreds, if not thousands, of people all put together on the show. Dean killed 50 people in one swoop. So their sudden pacifism makes absolutely no sense. But then Jack is like, I gotta go. So he does.
Got a blast!
Now we are on to the final episode. Everyone is back on Earth thanks to Jack. Dean now has a dog, and Sam's girlfriend is still dead. I think they never talk about Eileen when Jack brought everyone back, so she could very much be alive, or she could have just stayed dead. I don't know, because that's not who he ends up with in the flash forward. They don't show who he ends up with in the flash forward, but yeah, it was kind of stupid. There's these people in masks killing families, but Sam and Dean very quickly figure out that these people are vampires, so they go to kill them, and Dean gets stabbed by a pipe or something in a wall and dies. He goes to heaven and sees Bobby, and he drives his Impala for eternity. Meanwhile, we get a montage of Sam getting old, and his son named Dean tells him to hurry up and die.
You can go now.
Sam gets reunited with Dean in heaven, and that's the end of the show. This is an ending I saw coming, besides the fact that Sam has a horrible wig and while he's old.
I don't know what you better stop! Bitch, stop! You and your wig Get out of my life.
But it was still disappointing to watch. It was just kind of boring, and it made sense in concept but was poorly done in execution, which kind of sums up a lot of Supernatural. In conclusion, Supernatural was a victim of longevity. It had more bad seasons than good ones. That doesn't mean it's unwatchable. Some of my favorite episodes are in the bad seasons, and overall it's a pretty enjoyable show to watch. Supernatural is highly enjoyable with sketchy writing, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't need to watch Emmy Award winners. Sometimes you need to just watch your questionable faves. These are your comfort shows, and just because a show has bad seasons or sometimes gets bad writing, that doesn't make it bad. Well, it kind of does, but still, you can still enjoy it. This is coming from someone who's watched Once Upon a Time like 100 times, and that show is not good. So, really, do what you want, but Supernatural, a disappointing end to a show that was initially very good. Anyways, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, and click the link in the description box below. This was a pretty short video, but I just wanted to talk about it. So, yeah. Bye.